The research is the means of creating and developing new knowledge in every field of studies. And normally, unlike the colleges, institutions, and other institutions of higher learning, universities has the responsibility to develop new knowledge and to show new directions in the field of studies in many different ways. By saying so, we have to address few questions on research. Like, for example, the research questions, a research question not for the research itself, research question for this session are, first question that has been raised, does research really matter for the universities? To what extent? How should the universities widen their participation in higher education, maybe through research? The other major issues that the university administrators are facing, as well as the faculty members at different levels are facing to secure research grants. Now, from grants to loans and fees, how do you untangle the budget process or mess that has been mentioned here? The other issue in this area are the issues of moving beyond the customer information and current landscape of the universities in Malaysia. Should we have more funded research? Should we have more research and development centers in the institutes of higher learning? How? What to do that? How to do that? Now that brings to the issues of the concepts or the issues that we discussed in the last session and the sessions before, the issues of ranking, the issues of recognition, the issues of accreditation, how much research has inputs on that? What are the requirements? And if you look at the universities throughout the world, the landscape is changing. Especially in the United States, there are more pressure, more directives on the faculty members to secure grants for research, external grants. So they were rewarded, faculty members are rewarded, faculty members are recognized based on the amount of research grants they are producing, the amount of patents they produce out of the research, and the publication. And not only on the publication, but also on the citation of the publication. Now, additional impacts coming up on the research. What the research you are producing, are they useful? Are they relevant? Do the people cite those research? What is the citation analysis? There are many indices of G index, H index of the research that is being counted that the university authorities are increasingly looking for from the faculty members as a means of recognitions. So these are many issues that we can open up in this session to discuss in this panel. So let me invite the panelists, first of all, and then hand over the issues to them to deliberate and to discuss and come to some kind of understanding. I'm sure they could not come to an understanding in 1.5 hour or 2 hour session. First of all, we have 3 panelists today. Let me invite Emeritus Professor Muhammad Awang, the Vice Chancellor of SEGi University. To introduce Emeritus Professor Muhammad Awang, he's an Emeritus Professor of Environmental Studies at the Faculty of Environmental Studies, Universiti Putra, Malaysia. Currently, he is Vice Chancellor of SEGi University, one of the leading private higher education providers in Malaysia. Just before he assumed the present position, he served as an advisor and a member of think tank group to the Minister of Higher Education on research. Of course, now there is no Minister of Higher Education, Minister of Education. When it was MOHE, then he served as an advisor, I think right now. He's also in the area of commercialization as well. He was also involved in the establishment of Centers of Excellence in the public universities. He was a council member of Academy of Sciences Malaysia and chaired the selection committee for biological, agricultural, and environmental discipline fellowship, and also climate change technical committee of the Academy. Next panel member I'm going to invite on the podium is Datuk Dr. Rahim Haji Hashim, Vice Chancellor of University, Teknologi, PETRONAS. Datuk Dr. Rahim Haji Hashim was appointed as the Vice Chancellor of the University Teknologi PETRONAS in November 1, 2012. He graduated in Electrical and Electronics Engineering from the University of Birmingham, United Kingdom in 1976, and later he received an honorary doctorate in engineering from the same university in 2006. He is currently a commissioner of the Energy Commission of Malaysia, a member of the National Science and Research Council of Malaysia, and a board member of SEGi, I think, attended the Harvard Advanced Management Program in 1997. The next panel member, I think he has been already introduced, but I'm not going to introduce him again, but he is Datuk Dr. Megat Burhainuddin, President of the Nilai University, who was on the panel just a few minutes back. So can I welcome Datuk Dr. Burhainuddin. Again, before I open the forum, I would suggest each of the speakers will be limiting their presentation in about 10 to 15 minutes. So please stick to your time limits so that we can have more time for engaging the audience in a discussion process. Okay? So again, can I invite Emeritus Professor Dr. Muhammad Awang, Vice Chancellor of the SEGi University, to make his first presentation. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, and a very good afternoon. Chairman, eminent scholars, panelists, colleagues, very good afternoon once again. It's an honor and privilege to be standing here this afternoon for a very simple reason, is that being invited by the organizing committee to say a few words, perhaps to share some of those experiences that I have. And more importantly, basically, is I do have my strong supporter here, my Dean of Medical School, Professor Atya, who has been helping me in putting materials and so on. And just now I met Datuk Hashim, long lost friend. I'm very delighted to be here. That's already 3 minutes. We have 10 minutes, is that right? The title is Research and Development in Higher Education, as mentioned by the chairman. The new branding tools. I'm not very sure how best that we can move, but it's given a kind of question over here. Does research really matters? Okay. Okay, go back to this. Okay. If you try to look at the background, I purposely choose that background, forest fire. Many years ago, when Datuk Bakar Jaafar was the Director General of the Ministry of Department of Environment, Department of Everything, actually, Len Ferrari from Australia, late Rikita Inoue from Japan, and my group from UPM, we sat down and came up with the API, Air Pollution Index. So we are very proud of that, actually, of that product. Until today, the country is still using it. In short, the importance of research on air pollution done by various sectors, including myself, at that particular time, maybe it's not that important, not that significant. But with the so-called cyclical kind of situation that we have experienced many, many times, 1997 was the worst of the haze in the areas. I think that sort of research became a kind of very, very significant. So the second question is widening the participation in higher education. Chairman, I'm not going to go through all those basically because I'm not very much in the know of those areas. So I will skip some of those questions, leave it to Datuk, two Datuks here to give detail on that actually. So the question is, does research really matter? We're talking about the quality of life. Not only the basic, my uncle, E is equal to mc squared. I think everybody knows. That E is equal to mc squared by Einstein, all right, has revolutionized the industry. 19th century, 20th century, and 21st century. As simple, E is equal to mc squared. So how important the basic sciences, its physics is, yes. But we need to do research. What more if you're talking about food security? We're talking about the agro, biomedical, as well as life sciences. In the name of the so-called try to improve the quality of life. We have Datuk Burhainuddin here. He'll be talking about the history of medical kind of setting. You can ask him later. Technology and engineering. This is again, today, this morning, this afternoon, we're talking about the Y generation and so on. You know? So this is part and parcel of the research is required. And of course, social science and humanities. On that note, I think my generation, your generation, failed miserably to train our Y generation to do their homework. In the sense that, I'm not sure whether it's subject to research or not, the verification of the information gathered through media. They just simply blast it. So I think we fail on that subject. So we do have a very short history of Malaysian RD&I. I remember way back in 1984-85 when I was in UPM, we just started, everybody struggling, trying to put research proposal to get in the name of ERPA. But over the last 20 years, we produce a lot of brain. Everybody's talking about the human resource. Everybody's talking about capital, human capital. So that is a result, that was the result of the R&D, basically. I took this one, of course, Prof. Atia gave me the material from Queen Mills, Professor Queen Mills, the gurus of Harvard, from Harvard School. He has sort of passionate enough to listen, to follow kind of 2 days kind of workshop with this old man, basically, scholars, sorry. What makes a university great, basically, is it has to be great in research, great in teaching, great leadership. I'm not sure whether we do have those 1, 2, 3 at all. Yeah, I'm not sure. I leave it with you all, right? But more importantly, top performance by faculty. This is the essence, actually. The staff and great leadership at the faculty, at the school level, to drive the research. He also mentioned that. This is his statement, not my statement. 2 elements which often overlap. The significant contribution to knowledge, including methodologies and so on, as assessed by the professional in that particular field, in that particular discipline, and also, which is overlapping, significant contribution to society as reflected in new product and services made available to society. I think this is very, very important, that we, I would say, are not there yet. Why? Because in terms of potential of contribution to higher education in the economic progress, higher education will make a significant impact in terms of contribution of the manpower in trying to drive the economic development and so on. Not only in the region, perhaps global. And today we are facing a kind of shift of the economic model from the traditional, I'll mention it later, to the new economic model. Who is going to drive that sort of, who will understand that? Of course, people from the university, based on their research. In this particular case, perhaps emerging a new model which will require much of professional skill workforce. We have a fact and figures actually from Mampu and the rest. We need to improve in the university. All right? University, the so-called world-class stature. World-class, we are here in Malaysia, we abuse the term world-class. Nobody say or talk about the class kambing. Everybody's talking about the world-class. Nobody know about class kambing, actually. This is something that, this is a reality. What happened in the past, we grow based on the so-called low-wage factory labor everywhere, whether in Penang and so on. But that sort of approach is no longer there. They pick up the bag, move to the cheaper kind of countries in the region, Vietnam, Cambodia, and the rest. So not only that, our good people, well-trained people here in the country start leaving the country, move down south Singapore. We train so hard, but they move to Singapore for obvious reason. So we need research over here. I think I skipped this one. We are talking about the capital market and so on. And again, if we are talking about new economic model in order for us to drive, take it or leave it, we need to do our research and development. Why? Innovation must provide home-developed product and services for us to export. As it is now, we bring in from China and so on, we assemble in Penang perhaps, and then export it out. No, nothing doing. The future is no longer there. And at the same time, we need to have a so-called homegrown leadership. As mentioned earlier, we need to have a better educated workforce, must be in place to inspire all those things that will drive our economy. Better trained workers and more professionals are needed in the country. Leaders, yes, we do have leaders. Politicians, political masters, we do have business people in the country. But in the university, the professors are supposed to produce the so-called future leaders, right? It is responsibility of the institution of higher learnings, perhaps, to contribute in order to increase the supply of professional people, whether at the postgraduate or at the undergraduate level. Of course, undergraduate level is everybody's business. But what makes us different, basically, is a business school, postgraduate, as well as PhDs in all those disciplines. Why, at the end of the day, university will provide the economy, both the finished product, as well as the raw material, ready to be value add to it for the future of economic growth. This is, again, very much textbook, Prof. I will skip that. But Queen Mills, again, put up 1, 2, 3, 4. In order for us to move towards the top quality research, we are talking about adequate financial support. This is something, that model that needs to be looked into. Involvement in international professional association of those particular group of people, press and so on. More importantly, basically to link up with the industry and the government support. I think this is something that is not there yet, although we can see the light every tunnel, but not there yet. And of course, people will recognize us as researchers when you publish, or perish perhaps, in A-level journals. I know in Malaya they use tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and so on, all right? You publish in Nature, you get 50,000, 25,000, and so on. I'm not sure whether that is right model or not, yeah? I was made to understand. Moving beyond, this is second kind of question, moving beyond that customer information and culture and current landscape. We need to assemble a faculty mix of regular academic appointment, coming not only from the internal, but also from industry. Datuk Smiles, all right, from PETRONAS, now he is in the academic world. I think this sort of model that we would like to see more in the future, right? And also, faculty member must work side by side, not only within the faculty itself, but perhaps inter-universities, inter-faculties, and so on. Yeah, the integration of the brain is the future. Just to give you some flavor here, this is not my figure, but it is published in World Economic Forum for 2010, 2013 in terms of the Malaysia score and ranking innovation pillar. Pillar 12, innovation, out of 144, we ranked number 25. That was the latest. Not bad, not bad. I'm not very sure. This is the work of the Yang Muhamad Datuk Sri Mustafa kind of ministry to look at all this, actually. If you're talking about the capacity for innovation, number 17 out of 144. Not bad, not bad. And it goes on and on. These are the kind of ranking that we have today. All right? What are the new kind of R&D? To me, this is an old kind of stuff, right? Talking about biodiversity, cybersecurity, energy security, environment and climate change, food security, medical and healthcare, plantation, crops, all this. Everybody's talking about the climate change in the name of the food security, in the name of whatever, all right? Those are the things that we need research. A lot of loophole, a lot of information that we need to have, all right? If you try to look at the gross expenditure on R&D from 1996 to 2011, right? Not that up-to-date kind of figure. Way back in 1996, we spent about 239.3 million. In year 2011, we spent about 9.4B. Good. The government is generous enough, all right, to provide those kind of grant and so on. But the question is, we have problem here. We do have problem here in the sense that far too many agencies working in silos. We are talking about the top one, MOHE. Now it's no longer the convergence of two ecosystems. MOHE, Ministry of Higher Education, and Ministry of Education, and become Ministry of Education. I'm not sure, as one of the speakers this morning mentioned about what's the future like, I have yet to look at. But what I'm trying to say here is that far too many, in the sense that, in terms of agencies, evolve in education. This is the material from MOSTI, all right? Starting from Ketat, sampailah kepada Padat, perhaps. You know, Kementerian Teknologi, Tenaga, Air dan sebagainya, sampai kepada emission and so on, starting from ideation, research, pre-commercialization, right up to commercialization. If you try to look at here, look, what do we have? This is very important. If you're talking about commercialization, today, local university, higher institution chairman, all right? Of course, this is up to, let me see, the figure 205, all right? But today, I think we have more than that, actually. And between 3 to 7% only in terms of the commercialization success. And I know that the time is not with me. If you have to look at compare, in terms of patent granted, from 1963 to 2010, we do have that. China, Germany, Japan, Malaysia, we have 1,307. Yeah? That sort of figures compared to Germany, 334,000, Japan, 806,000. Well, if you try to look at the research per 10,000 workforce, today, 2011, we have about 73,700 in all disciplines, actually. And in terms of the expenditure again, if you try to look at IHL, Institute of Higher Learning, 1996, we were given 4.4 million, and today we have 2.7 B. It's good, it's good. I would like to spend more time on the research university and so on, but I don't think we have time. Maybe during the question and answer. And reliance of the institution driving R&D and innovation. The country has set up, our government has set up National Innovation Council, chaired by the Prime Minister himself. Look at the kind of ecosystem they have. So many agencies. I'm not trying to comment and so on, but the most important thing is that we do have MOSI, MOH, MOHE, MOA, INRE, all those fragmented and working in silo. There is no so-called integration of the brain, working on specific mission-oriented that will help the society. Not that I'm trying to deny all those, but we do have a lot of potential in place, actually. In terms of international collaboration and work, yes, we do have a lot, actually. But have we really looked into detail that and so on, try to, really try to collaborate with them and so on. So this is something that we need to look at. What more if you're talking about the you and I here, talking about go global, but we don't talk to each other, I think And we have a very clear KPIs. Chairman, can I have another 5 minutes, Chairman? Yeah, please, yeah. Datuk Burhainuddin mentioned you can talk anytime, as long as you want. Can I have 5 minutes? All right, we do have that key performance indicators and so on, but the most important thing is the alignment to national priority. Take it or leave it, R&D need to realign. If you're talking about a new formula, take it or leave it, we need to realign. And also we need to accelerate the innovation and contribution to the GNI. Job creation, of course, under the new initiative, we are expecting to have 3.3 jobs created over the next couple of years based on ETP, right, that is promised by the government, right, at all levels, from the semi-skilled, super skilled, or whatever skill is, actually, 3.3, within the 12 or 13 kind of areas, including healthcare as well as education and so on. I pick up specifically on this, the so-called Trust 4, which is very much related to strategic plan, 2020 and beyond, or Ministry of Education. Then we have 7 here. Collaborate network among higher institutions, together with the government research agencies, do a lot of consultation and others. 2, perhaps develop and consolidate. This is a new formula, perhaps, Chairman, if we try to look at that new strategy. As it is now it is not that working very well. Development of critical mass of research through research, university initiative and so on. Can ask me later on that. We produce a lot of manpower and so on. And also in Trust 2, again, in trying to answer the widening access, increasing equity among the stakeholders and so on. Right? I don't have time to move all this. Here, I like to share, look at the yellow corner there, improve IHL ranking, increase income from IHL and R&D, improve graduate employability. We discussed about graduate employability this morning. Right? These are the tasks. But do we have enough research in this particular area? Why? And so on. Okay. What we need basically to produce workers. Today, in 2010, we have low skill 11%, semi-skilled 61%, skilled 80%. We would like to increase to 33%. This is very, very crucial. If you are talking about a new economic model. All right? These are the areas introduced by the government in the name of ETP as a focused approach to economic growth. We have all those 11 sectors, plus Greater Kuala Lumpur is ongoing right now. So the question is, do we have enough research to look at all those details from the socio and humanities kind of perspective, as well as human resource management, so on. I skip this. These are the detail of the. So the recommendation basically is, university today need to start thinking not too much depending on the government funding, right? We have to go beyond. This morning I enjoyed very much CIMB. They put in the box, black box, get out. Maybe the whole university professor and so put in the black box and then that's it. Let them loose and come up with all kind of ideas, all right? And I think those are the few things that I like to share. These are more on the so-called theoretical framework that is needed to be, to scrutinize detail. Of course, at the governmental level, perhaps based on WASN 2020, they have all this. All right, all those pillars based on program transformation kerajaan, model baru economy, all those with the Prime Minister smiling away. With that note, thank you very much for your kind attention. Chairman, sorry, 5 minutes extra.
I wish we had more time to go through all the nice slides Prof. Awang has put together. Hopefully during the discussion session, those issues will come up and he can enlighten us more on these issues. Okay, can I invite you now, Professor Dr. Datuk Abdul Rahim Hashim, the Vice Chancellor of the PETRONAS University.
it again. Oh, that's it. That's it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Chairperson, fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, and very good afternoon to everyone. First of all, let me thank the organizing institution for allowing us the time and space to present to you some of the issues actually relating to the subject of this afternoon, which is research and development in higher learning, the new branding tools. Now, Prof. Dr. Muhamad Awang have taken all the thunder that we have, so and also the time. So we are left with whatever. I've got 50 slides. I don't. It's not 50 slides, but a lot of slides. What we thought is that Datuk Megat was not going to be here, so that's why we have a lot of slides. Now he's on board, so we have to readjust in terms of what I'm going to present. So I'm sandwiched between the two person. Anyway, the outline is basically just to look at in terms of what the R&D outlook is as far as the trends are concerned, yeah, what the issues are, and perhaps also look in terms of what our experiences have been at UTP, because what Prof. Dr. Muhamad Awang has mentioned, a lot of it is what we are doing. So perhaps there's some learnings there. And lastly, in terms of what some of the challenges that's facing us going forward. Now, when we talk about in terms of whether research is required or otherwise, one has to go back and look in terms of what really is the role of the university. And I think here, there's no question in terms of that the university is actually a knowledge institution, a producer of knowledge. And there's also another term which has been used, I guess, late 90s, is actually the producer of knowledgeability. Yeah? First is in terms of knowledge, which is, has to do with research that is doing and so on and so forth. In terms of that knowledgeability is in terms of the graduates that one is producing as far as the university is concerned. Now, this particular model is a very, very straightforward model. So if you look in terms of the role of university, which is teaching and learning as one core of it, yeah, on one arm of it, and research on the other side, then you look in terms of what is the role of the university in this sort of model. Obviously, generating new knowledge is part and parcel. I fully agree with the previous speaker that as far as university is concerned, it is an institution of generating new knowledge. And the other one is, of course, with new knowledge, you also have to disseminate those new knowledge, yeah? Either through publications, through your own students, or even pushing the knowledge further and try and commercialize whatever the findings are. And of course, part and parcel of it, you cover the IPR, the intellectual property rights that you own as far as the knowledge is concerned. And then part of this will definitely has to go back into the society as far as economic growth is concerned. And I again agree that there's a lot of knowledge that's been created which actually can spur the development of a country and enhance the economic growth of that particular country. And part and parcel of the role of the university also, as I mentioned earlier, is producing human capital. So all in all, the role of university is really not just teaching, but also research areas and for the good of society in the general term. Now, where has actually research has gone as far as its development is concerned? Obviously, it moves on as far as the economies are concerned. We started again with the agricultural era as far as the the world is concerned. And subsequently we came into the industrial era. The Industrial Revolution is one good example of it. And all of a sudden, I guess early 1900s and subsequently to that, you find that there is this huge, big increase as far as research areas are concerned, because we start to expand the areas which we are involved in. Yeah, this is in area of the IT area, the biotech area, and now we are into the so-called knowledge society. And that's where it sort of moved on from the resource-driven economy to investment-driven economy, and subsequently to the so-called innovation-driven economy. So that's where we are at the moment. And the amount of research that's required is tremendous. And if you look at some of the, information that's provided earlier, you see that this is huge, big increase in this particular area. Now, when you look at in terms of, is there a value as far as this research is concerned? And obviously, the supposition here is that, yes, it has and can actually create a huge amount of wealth. And where is it all started from? It starts, of course, with, I guess, the ideas with the person itself, yeah? Whether through imagination and creativity and so on and so forth. And then from there, you start the basic research, which really is trying to validate the knowledge that one has put forward. Yeah? This is the supposition. And from there, then it further developed into applied research, which is really trying to determine whether there is actually a value as far as this knowledge is concerned. Yeah? So you have imagination, you have the basic research, and subsequently you go into applied research. And hopefully, in terms of the funnel that you have seen in the earlier presentation, you actually can create so-called and commercialize some of this research area, this new knowledge that you have created, into a wealth creation, and that hopefully progresses a nation in terms of moving from one economy. Now, as far as the global trend is concerned, nowadays, as we all know, research is not just a single discipline, but it involves multidisciplinary approach. Yeah? So you have now a lot of programs which covers various disciplines in order to carry out one research area. And there is much more demand now for the social benefit as far as research is concerned. You look at in terms of the environmental requirements, for example, is one example where you need somehow or other to address those societal issues. Yeah? And of course, with all the various countries going into a research area, then the intensity of data as well as increased competition is a natural result of such an exercise. So you see that there is this huge, great data intensity as well as globalization is concerned. Now, as we move on, in the early days, perhaps research more, I guess, to use the term esoteric is one, perhaps, and they do research for the sake of research. But nowadays, because of funding requirements, because you have to meet the requirements of the stakeholder, you tend to a bit more focus as far as the research is concerned, because people are asking whether is there a value as far as this research is concerned. And of course, if your funders are coming from a specific sector, one is the industry as an example, then the focus is towards those particular area. And people have been asking is that since we're doing a lot of this basic research, should it not go a bit more towards more applied, yeah, towards more experimental rather than just basic research? So there's that shift as far as research approach is concerned. Now, just to share you in terms of how can we actually transform the research and innovation landscape, there is this so-called ecosystem as far as research is concerned. We start off with the education area, where you have the basic, the higher education as well as vocational skills are concerned. And you then move into research areas, because some of these institutions do that. Yeah? Some of the colleges even, which if you think that they are just vocational colleges themselves, they do actually a lot more applied, I wouldn't so-called research, but applied work, which is more, I guess, addressing the issues of the industry. But you have got this higher education where the university is actually being part of it to do the fundamental research and through, I guess, masters and doctoral programs as well. And that created, I guess, the innovation area where there are a lot of more of collaborations with not only with academia from other institutions, but also, I think more important now, there is a shift towards this industrial collaboration. And of course, moving on to that industry requirements, then you have prototyping and so on and so forth. So there is this ecosystem which creates the right platform, yeah, and environment for research work to be conducted. And this covers the various sectors of the higher education institutions. Now, as far as UTP is concerned, I do not want to dwell a lot on this, but what we have done is that we are actually a very, very young university. It's only 15 years old, but very, very focused in terms of what we do. We are engineering focused, we are technology focused, just basic engineering as well as IT. And like any other universities, we have also postgraduate programs as well. But what's interesting as far as the university is concerned, this is what we have done over the last 15 years. The focus has always been academic program, which is teaching and learning, and also the other arm is R&D. But I think what's important here, the foundation of it is in terms of leadership development. I guess Prof. Dr. Muhammad Awang has mentioned what makes a great university. Actually, I would actually reverse what he has stated earlier. I put actually great leadership up front as very, very critical, and then the rest actually will follow through in terms of having the great faculty members especially, and also not forgetting the support staff, because it's crucial. And one of the issues that we are facing at the moment is really getting the right people on board. And this is the roadmap that we have in terms of trying to achieve what we intend to do, both on the teaching and learning side, as well as research. We heard this morning in terms of ratings, yeah? I guess Datuk Ansari was saying that perhaps we don't need to be involved as far as rating is concerned. But I think as far as the shareholders are concerned, they would like to know also where are we as far as the ratings are concerned. And we have got targets as well. So we are actually on the right path as far as the end game is concerned. We want to be the top on the top world university ranking as far as that's concerned. But I think what's most important is to be internationally recognized as a partner of choice for industry and respected member of the scientific community. That's the vision that we have. And this all goes into phases. And how do we actually did that? Basically what we did was to make sure that the effort up front was to make sure that teaching and learning has got that foundation. And in 2006, 2007, then we started on the research base. So that's, for the last 7-8 years, was the focus was actually on research. Of course, not forgetting the teaching and learning as well. And how do we actually did that was that we have a transformation office to drive this, because sometimes strategy without implementation is just nothing. So we have an office which drives the 4 areas, making sure that it's not just looking at competency, not just looking at the research performance and also the leadership aspect, but I think more important is embedding the research culture. So these are some of these criteria that we put on board to make sure that the academic faculty members are in tune with what we require. So you have a huge amount of strategies, huge amount of initiatives and action plan that is tracked on a continuous basis with the transformation office driving it. And when we talk about mission-oriented research. I was actually quite good that you have mentioned that, Prof. We have 9, because this is the focus areas. We don't want researchers to go all over the place and not focus, so we have 9 in there. And from there, then we develop, of course, the Center of Excellence to make sure that it's driven, and it's part and parcel of the mission-oriented research. And what we have done is that on a yearly basis, we go through it to make sure that they are actually aligned. Yeah? Because as the environment changes, you need somehow or other to step back and look at whether you are actually doing the right stuff or otherwise. So we just had it recently on last weekend to relook back again in terms of areas that they should focus on. One of the areas which perhaps was also mentioned earlier is this strategic collaboration with the industry. And we are actually quite fortunate because we've got a big muscle at the back of us, which in the form of PETRONAS. And the industry that's involved in oil and gas, we can actually access to the industry quite easily. But also not forgetting, of course, the other universities. And with that, what we had was that, for example, as one of the achievements is that we have at the moment 4 professional chairs, which are actually being sponsored by the industry, Mitsubishi, Shell, Schlumberger, as well as Technip, and we have 2 more online. And this will bring not only the industry, I guess, issues which needs to be resolved, but I think more important is getting industry to be involved in the university itself, and at the same time ensuring that the collaboration with the university and industry continues as we move forward. And they bring also funding to do some of this basic research and also the applied research that we talked about. As far as achievements concerned, I would not want to do this, but I think one of the areas where perhaps there's some learning here in terms of what are some of the critical success factors that we have achieved in that short period of time. Of course, we mentioned again, leadership is important. The board is actually with us. I keep telling people that the UTP board is actually the most powerful board in PETRONAS because all the executive vice president sits on that board. We got the HR VP as well on that board. So the governance side, Datuk Megat, is actually very, very strong. Especially you get all the EVPs on board. And they actually monitor us quite clearly. And of course, you have to drive and monitor it fully. You benchmark against others as well. And a lot of times, it's actually engaging with staff to make sure that it goes right down to the lowest level, yeah, right where the rubber meets the road. No? And also in terms of ensuring that there is a performance culture and is results oriented. So that's the key success factors that we have. And as far as international students, we talked about internationalization this morning. We are there. We are trying to go up to 30%. At the moment, it's 23. But I think the area which is of big concern, which is perhaps something that needs to be discussed, is that for postgraduates, the number of Malaysians, locals actually doing postgraduates is actually dwindling. There's not enough of them. In fact, 60-70% of our postgraduates are actually overseas students. So the issue is that how do we entice, I guess, students to come and do postgraduates? And one of the incentives that we have given now, which is out in the papers last month, we're offering a PhD student 5,000 ringgit a month to do PhD and 3,000 ringgit to do a month to do master's program in petroleum engineering and petroleum geoscience. So that's the incentive. So because the market out there is just too good. Petroleum graduates, petroleum engineering graduates getting 4,000 to 5,000 ringgit a month. So they say, why would I want to do a master's program or continue to do my doctoral programs? So that's one of the issues facing us. These are some of the achievements. I wouldn't go through in detail. And I guess the issue here is that if you are focused enough, yeah, you're driven enough, I think it's easy enough to get the necessary rating that's required. And of course, I mentioned again the top challenge again with other organizations. I'm from the industry. It's always about people. Yeah, you get the right people, you get the right expertise. And of course, with right funding, you are on your way. Yeah, 50% or 80% of your problems are solved. And the issue again, I guess, with other IHLs in Malaysia is actually securing international research grant. Go about that because we don't want to depend on the government research grant. Of course, we have got the PETRONAS behind us, which is great. But again, it's not going to be forever. So this is something that we need to do. And I mentioned earlier in terms of the, I guess, in linking up with other institutions, not just with academia, but also centers of excellence elsewhere is important because now it's a multidisciplinary approach as far as research is concerned. And of course, when you do all this research and so on and so forth, the industry is coming to us and says, what is in for them? They put a lot of money, then is there something that they can actually improve as far as their business is concerned? So we need to look at that. And of course, we're saying that how can we attract research endowment elsewhere from other places as well. And this is through tapping into alumni, industries, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the challenges that's facing us. We are, again, on a journey. It's a long journey. Yeah? People need to understand that research, like was mentioned earlier by Prof. Datuk as well, because Prof. Dr. Muhamad Awang, Malaysia is unfortunately is in a very, very difficult position because we don't have even a science act to talk about, and also the research, I guess, objective is not quite clear because it keeps changing every 5 years because we follow the Malaysia plan approach. So that's one of the big issues as far as research is concerned in Malaysia. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rahim Hashim. And I was looking at my watch. I think it's very challenging to catch up with the time. I think since we have started about 20 minutes later, we can have that allowance of 20 minutes, okay, inshallah. So our next speaker, I hope it will not be long for the next speaker, as others said. I think you know him very well, Dr. Megat. Burhainuddin is the president of Nilai University, and it is not easy to manage 3 vice chancellors in one session.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera dan saya rasa selamat petang pada saudara-saudari sekalian yang saya hormati, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, fellow panel members. First of all, I would like to, I'm not sure whether to say thank you to the organizing committee to ask me to come up again. And they sent me an email earlier, say, could you please talk on this? I said, my goodness, this is not going to be easy. And thank you for inviting me anyway. And once in a while, you know, in my career, I sometimes end up to be the emergency midwife lah. So this is a bidan terjun lah. And but I don't think I dare do anymore. It's a bit too hard for me at this age, you know. Now, anyhow, I will try and tell you 2 stories lah, actually. When we did our HBS course, we go on case studies. So stories is the same as case studies lah, yeah. Now, I don't know why the committee asked me to talk on research, but I can guess why. Because once in my lifetime, you see, that sounds a bit old. I was involved in research. I started work as after doing clinical work, ended up in Institute of Medical Research. But the main thing is that I was once a consultant to IDRC and also consultant to WHO on health systems research. So the first part of the talk is on health systems research. I wonder whether any of you know what health systems research is, because it is so fixed to the medical idea. It's a medical idea. World Health Organization talk about health systems research. And before that, let me just say that our model in terms of research in the universities is slightly different in terms of medical aspect. We got 30% research, 30% service, 30% education, and 30% research. And our lecturers are supposed to apportion the time on 30-30-30 rule. Sometimes we just say 28, 27, it doesn't really matter, but we want our educationists within the health sector and even service providers to go on research. So, health system research is a challenge for the consultants, no? In fact, or people working in the government, and to enter into research activities. This started late in the 80s, and I was serving the Ministry of Health then. And in fact, the Ministry of Health is the WHO Collaboration Center for HSR. The purpose is also of systematic collection and interpretation of data to ensure a certain question is solved, answered, or a problem to be solved. So it's more of a problem-solving research. And it supports health development. Just to interject a bit, quite a lot of the decision now than the last, before the election, a lot of activities in the healthcare system were not done without research. So it's tough, very, very tough now. But we are ultimately concerned with improving the health of the community by enhancing the efficiency, effectiveness of the health system as an integral part of the overall process of socio-economic development. What are simply, trying to recall from memory, what are the characteristics of this research? It's focused on priority problems in healthcare, participatory in nature, action orientation, integrated multidisciplinary approach, multi-sectoral in nature, emphasize on cost effectiveness, focus on practical timely solutions, and iterative in nature. So, why are we talking today about this issue? Because we have to look at the universities in terms of its participation in research. Let me tell you beforehand that this is part of a story which begins sort of a sad story for me, because I was so heavily involved right from the very beginning. So let's talk about constraints. Why is it that the universities are faced with a number of constraints in terms of applying this research? One is, of course, is the vertical structure of universities. There's no, communication is more or less within its own cell, within its own compartment, and it's very tough for us to talk about multidisciplinary research. And collaboration, we need collaboration. We need these research teams must be familiar with the concepts and approaches and all those things that involve in developing collaborative research. And this is not the culture in the university, but we hope, against all hope, that this can be broken too. Second point is career development. Career opportunities for faculty within the university are mainly vertical, and it's still within the department. Although research is required and career advancement is related to research productivity, university faculty often have little time for research or for developing their own expertise in research. They need additional skills. Even though they go into areas of research methodology, it's a slightly different thing as far as you're concerned. I get tired of teaching all these things actually the last time in the ministry. Another one is funding. Funding is not geared to multidisciplinary research. That's straightforward. And if you talk about government not giving funding, then it's a hard time trying to get money. And they embark on multidisciplinary project, they face additional problems. So there is disincentive. And limited funding, and then the nature of clinical research and biomedical research is on quantitative data and experimental designs or clinical trials. So they are comfortable with this sort of research. And when it involves the community, they fight shy of it. And the focus of the social scientists on conceptual and theoretical issues, we do focus on this, but universities tend to not be involved in this. Another one is a focus on publication. I keep getting reports and feedback. We want to publish because it's publish or perish, as Prof said just now. And you don't have enough papers, you cannot even consider it for promotion. So much so that I think there are now 3 streams whereby people can be promoted to professors or associate prof. And mechanism of communication with the community, and university departments tend to be they are competitive within each. So what we hope at that time was movement towards applied research, interdisciplinary communication, in terms of clinical epidemiology, and also improve interdisciplinary communication. So we were hoping at that time there would be some change in policy in terms of research priorities. But quite a lot of the money comes from inter-collaborative research, come from WHO and other funding agencies. But the Ministry of Health do give that, actually, give priority to research, but it is a different ball game entirely. You have to find different sort of funding for this sort of research. And so there are a lot of concern. Resource management, cost containment, quality assurance, and all that. So the clinical academician will have great difficulty into entering into this area. And what do we have now? We got an Institute of Health Systems Research in Jalan Bangsa there, and trying to develop this, working hard against the tide to get academics to be involved, to put in knowledge in terms of expertise into this area. I know I got one colleague here who is an academician, and it took a lot of things for him to come out together, to come up, with a certain definite, what do you call it, interest to go into this. Now, so what I mentioned to you just now is something which is important, but difficult to get the universities to get involved because of the culture, because of the way that things are being run in the university. That is a sad story. I'd like to go something which is another story which is full of hope for the future. I think, as mentioned in my CV, you see, I'm a member of the board director for InnoBio, which is a biotechnology company located in Nilai. And the plea for the future is to how to get biotechnology research to come into this country in full force. How do you go about doing it? We studied all this. The company actually was started, we got a factory to produce. InnoBio, actually, just maybe a bit of advertisement. InnoBio is involved in development of biologicals. For example, things like serum, what do you call it, fractionation, plasma fractionation, for example. What is it? Erythropoietin is one of those substances which we wanted to do. I'm not sure whether you know about what erythropoietin is. Erythropoietin is famous when you start testing athletes for chemicals to improve their performance. Is because it helps generate more red blood cells so that they can run faster, they can walk faster, they can jump higher, and so on and so forth. So we produce erythropoietin, and its use is mainly for people with kidney failure to help regenerate blood cells so that they can improve their physical status. So the model that we want to use, or we used at that time, was how to develop research as in a biotech cluster in Massachusetts. That was the model that we had. The Massachusetts biotech cluster has got approximately 300 biotech companies, 150 medical device companies, top 10 companies market cap of 8.5 billion US, plus large research laboratories for 5 to 8 major pharmaceutical companies, and employs over 30,000 people. That was why the Prime Minister before got excited about this and pushed for biotech, and we went into it wholeheartedly. The theory is that how do you develop these so-called biotech clusters? Because you form biotech clusters in specific regions. For example, biotech clusters of the US, in San Diego, San Francisco, Boston, did not originate where pharmaceutical companies exist. And so they do not spawn biotech companies. Now, what happened now is that we were hoping that the new way of developing clusters, this started way back when a lot of research unit on things like led to DNA and genome revolution and discovery based on new understandings of genetics and so on and so forth. So the basic research program become platform technologies for new biotech companies. But what is the key to it? National Institute of Health in US, government support of research was a key. NIH funding was a key. intellectual property arising from discovery is another key. So, critical, I think as what Datuk Rahim says now, law. We do not have any law equivalent to what is called as intellectual property law, as strong as the US law, which is, they call it the Behdoud Act, started in 1980. It gives universities title to the patents from federally funded research. It allowed universities to grant licenses, including executive licenses. It allowed universities to take royalties and legislate sharing of royalties with inventors. Our law is still weak in this area. I know there's some work being done of it, but definitely it is not good enough. Because university technology is embryonic. Its feasibility or its market use is limited. We don't know yet. We cannot see the future in it. Nobody knows that a lot of these genetic studies are going to be useful. Until now, we see something, but it's still not there. And there is always a high-risk investment. So what is the government in US did was that they say that, look, we need to have federally funded projects. Of course, we do have federally funded projects now. So the role of the research institution would be build a cluster. Science, where it all starts. Intellectual property, people, in fact, as Datuk Rahim just now, attractive living environment. So why did this biotech cluster arise in Massachusetts? One is world-class universities and research hospitals, MIT, Whitehead, Harvard, Massachusetts, Beth Israel. I mean, I visited some of them. And then research grants, experienced venture capitalists. Three critical factors in pushing for research with good collaboration between the universities and the industries. So, the universities try to get the highest, the brightest people to work and all that, and of course MIT will get all those people. And essentially, these were the key issues. Actually, basically, I got three slides, and I'm trying to encapsulate within 5 minutes. I'm not sure how I can do it, but anyway, I've cut short. Now, what is happening now in and around Bio? We have, let me see, where is it I put it? 4 plus 1 later, universities in Nilai. University Science Islam Malaysia, USIM, University Manipal International, INTI International University, and we got one in the future coming up, Kumpulan Perubatan Johor, KPJ University. We have Nilai Cancer Institute, and USIM is producing a teaching hospital. What is my hope? That, in fact, I have discussions with USIM, Vice Chancellor, who is actually a researcher, by the way, from USM. And we hope to develop this own cluster of technology to get universities to work for research purposes as well, to get the growth of biotech, because we have a factory there, so that this is the forefront of future development of Malaysia in terms of biotech areas. We can do it because of the fact that research is directed to producing small amounts of high-value compounds. We're not talking about big compounds, pharmaceutical compounds. We are more on pharmaceutical production. In fact, InnoBio has been involved in producing some of these products for research material for India, Korea, and other countries. But our country, we still cannot get. The only one so far that we can come up with is UKM, who is involved in development of stem cells, and we are producing the materials so that they can do more research in stem cells. Hopefully, inshallah, in the future, we're going to get many more universities coming through, although USM is trying to, but we want this cluster of universities to create this research phenomenon within this area. So that is the story of hope, the first one of series of sadness, that we are not being utilized as much as what should be within the community or within the government. And how we go about doing it, I think, is that we need people who are highly trained, who are highly motivated to go into research work. And sometimes when I see the younger people within the company, I feel very satisfied, very happy that they are so dedicated They spend their time there. Money is not an issue to them. So this is the hope and the wish. Maybe it'll come soon, I don't know. But definitely, to me, research is the key to technology development and to become one of the serious players in terms of biotechnology. So I gave you 2 case studies. One involves how the Ministry of Health is plodding on trying to get policies and decisions making come out through HSR, and how that this area is being developed to create what we call it as a cluster of research activities going on into this place. So that's all the message I like to give. I want the universities to come together and come up with more and more activities, not just for industry, but also for community. That's the message I like to get. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Dr. Burhainuddin, Megat Burhainuddin. I think we have learned different perspectives from the 3 different speakers, 3 different vice chancellors with vast of experience on research, and several recommendations has been given on the floor. Before I give my time, I think I should give my time to you to ask questions instead of making me to some remarks, although I have few points, few comments to make it, to see the research scenario in the global environment. But I'd like to start the process of question and discussion for now. Let's spend at least about 15 minutes for getting questions from the floor. Questions, comments, feedback, any points of discussion will be good. So the floor is open for comments, questions. If you can introduce yourself, if you have specific comments, questions, could you please address to the person concerned here on the panelist? That will be great. Well, there are a few issues that in the floor, I think we heard about the issues that we need to address. First of all, the role of universities. That is number 1 issue. I think our last speaker, Dr. Burhainuddin, mentioned the issue of forming clusters, developing some kind of cooperation among the universities, whether it's public to public universities or public-private, or how it will be done, there's a different mechanism. But if you can do that, that will be another great potential, at least in the Malaysian universities context, that we can tap on the expertise of the, or the strengths of different universities, because all the universities doesn't have the equal amount of strength in each field. So universities vary in the level of expertise and level of interest on research in some areas. So that could be one of the models that we can think about it. How to do it, that's another issue. I think we can open it to the floor or to the panel members. The other points I want to emphasize here very much, which I like very much, the research cannot be regulated. Research cannot be enforced. It has to come from yourself. Research is a passion. Research is a passion. I have seen throughout my life, I have spent about 40 years of my life in various universities in the world, and I have seen how research develops. And you cannot enforce. That is a temporary compliance. If you say, oh, you get research, you get a promotion, you get this grant. That is a temporary compliance. And those kind of research, by the way, doesn't bring what we call fruitful research that can contribute to the new knowledge development or contribution to the society, as the speakers mentioned. So research has to come, and it is not for everybody's task. Some people are very keen, excellent teachers. Some people are excellent researchers, but be lousy teachers. So universities are handling those kind of people. Although we say 30, 20, 40, 60, whatever it is, the universities vary in terms of emphasis on their emphasis on research, teaching, learning, and service. But it is up to the individuals in the departments, in the faculty, whether research should be done, in what research, and how it should be done. When the passion comes in, I think funding opportunities are there, whether it's the national context or international context. There are many international institutions, they are waiting with money, and they are looking for researchers. So I don't think that's an issue. if I'm not mistaken, on that issue. Although there are competition for those big bucks, like Foundation is waiting with money. National Science Foundations waiting with money. So they're saying that we are not getting the kind of proposal you are looking for to fund the research. Industries are looking for applied research funding, but they are not getting that kind of proposal. So again, these two issues I'm raising. One is the collaboration between universities. I leave up to the panel members and see their views. And if you have any comments, please spend a few minutes to think and ask questions. Can I give it to?
Thank you, Chair. You did mention about the class. Many years ago, I happened to read On Competition by Michael Porter. That book, he mentions specifically about the Napa Valley, actually, about the wine industry in California. And at that time, we were thinking that Serdang, where I grow old, actually, we do have all kind of institutions, UPM, MARDI, all those universities are there. So we are thinking along those lines. But the question is always leadership. We, at that particular time, I'm not very sure, we can't even so-called communicate with the next door neighbor, MARDI, what they are doing with the rice kind of business and so on. This is the typical kind of culture that we have. We need to break that sort of culture, get into so-called high mobility of the scientists, not only among the physiologists, but also from the perhaps, yeah. And the latest one, if I may share, the program that is developed by the Ministry of Higher Education, now no more Ministry of Higher Education, long-term research grant. I'm sure all of us know about the scheme, the LRGS scheme. And we happen to be involved with the 4 or 5 universities in the name of low carbon economy, specifically refer to the biofuel based on oil palm industry as compared to the fossil fuel. A group of USM working on a very, very fundamental how to split CO2 into a new kind of energy. And a group of UKM, they are in the same group basically, try to split water molecule, right? Of course, out there they have done that to split water molecule to get hydrogen and so on. But within the group, looking at all those, and colleagues from UTM down there looking at the, it's something to do with the combination of the two actually. And Halim, Professor Halim, I can mention his name actually from UNITAN, looking at the biomass, pelletization. He used the kind of term because right now we could not utilize the raw material of the palm product, whether stem or whatever, get straight into the power generator actually because of that problem with that. But this particular group working on conversion to that. And of course, I happen to be involved with that as well, utilizing the so-called life cycle assessment technique and methodology, try to calculate, try to compare contrast between the conventional fossil fuel as well as the biofuel, taking all those kind of results from colleagues, USM, UTM, and so on, and then put into so-called formula, try to estimate in terms of the potential global warming. I would say that that sort of initiative by the Ministry of Higher Education, not try to praise up, but I think it's a wonderful model actually to start with. Thank you.
Thank you. My take on this collaboration is that obviously it's definitely is required because you require various expertise and so on and so forth, because research is not just very, very narrow, it gets a bit broader, so it requires that. But the issue, I think, with the Malaysian landscape is that all the universities are actually in competition with one another. I think there's a basic mindset here is that why would I want to help you when I'm actually ranked lower or higher than you and so on and so forth, especially when there's the big, huge disparity between the so-called the younger universities like us versus the much more established universities which has been around. They always say, why would I want to collaborate with you? It's the same thing if you go to elsewhere. For example, you want to collaborate with University of Tokyo, for example. I mean, they will say that, look, I'm number 1 or top 10 in Asia or in the world and so on and so forth. What have you got to offer as far as people is concerned, as far as leading edge technology is concerned, and so on and so forth. So, but in the Malaysian context is that it needs to break that mindset, and at the same time, what is also required is that there should be clusters around. People should not duplicate what is being done by one and also being replicated against the other. You get this so-called flavor of the month type of research areas. I think you talk about biotech, Dr. Megat. You go to some of these conferences or even exhibition, you see that all institutions, all states will want to have a say as far as biotech research is concerned. And we are a developing country with limited resources. So the issue is that which areas should be focused on, who should be leading that particular cluster, and the rest should be supporting it. That's how it should be as far as the country is concerned. And that needs to be almost top-driven rather than bottom-up, because this doesn't work with bottom-up. We all have all our own biased interests and so on and so forth. It will never work. So there's an issue that needs to be addressed. I think the issue of funding, I agree with the chairperson, is that actually there's a lot of money out there. Issue is that there's not enough of the right people to come on board and be passionate about research. So the issue is that how do you attract these people to come on board so that they are also recognized as just like any other professions, that they are actually contributing quite to the I guess to the country as well, to their profession and to their areas as well. So that's an area which needs to be addressed.
I think I agree with you, Datuk, in the sense that, in fact, when you mention this now, I think it's leadership. We lack leadership. Our academics sometimes do not want to take the leadership role as much as we thought they should be. I sometimes cannot understand this because of the fact that that we still live within that simple cell that we have, and all this rating system also does not really allow for that. I mean, Myra, I'm talking about Myra in terms of research, marks in terms of research, and each university says, look, I have enough, so, but sharing between somebody is very tough. Come on, man. Yeah, I'm getting all the marks, and why should I help you to get the marks? So this is the one that bugs me. Every time I get the letter from Ministry of Education, why is your university so low? No, below 2 is you're gone, man, my friend. That's the end of it all, So I sometimes don't understand, why should we do this sort of thing? Because to me, it's good, healthy competition, but going on between public and private and so on. I don't see any difference in public and private. But the thing is that we do not have that kind of leadership to make sure that we share, we do collaborative work. This is why HSR failed, because of the fact that nobody wants to collaborate. People want to have their own and put their name into the paper, get promoted to vice chancellor maybe, Prof? That's what it's all about. So I think we should start rethinking on our strategies and our activities for research, because we cannot survive without research. We need it because this is a future direction. And of course, people like Dr. Rahim, with PETRONAS University got a lot of money, you see, but the thing is that government also gives a lot of money, but you need somebody to trigger off all these things, rather than live within its own vertical silo.
Again, any comments, question in this regard from the floor? May I know how much time we have to conclude this session? Okay, this time is over. So otherwise we have many other issues. One of the issues maybe we can think about later on, the university administrators, here we have 3. One of the major issue is the interference from the governance structure. And we have been seeing continuously, whether it is university board, whether it is the government or whatever it is, there is a major issue that the university top administrators by the dint of their knowledge base, they have the expertise on the intellectual domain. On the other hand, they have been dictated by people who may not have the intellectual expertise. I'm sorry to say that, but the policies are enforced by them and they have to just carry it out. And I think that restricts the free thinking, that restricts freedom of expression and many other things to develop a university to a so-called world-class university. So with that thought, let me conclude this session and thank all the panel members again for their significant contributions to this session. Thank you very much. Let them have a round of applause again. This is Datuk Megat Burhainuddin.
Oh, is it here?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you very much. The last speaker gets first. Thank you very much.
Prof. Awang. Thank you very much again for your patience.